Social Security has a cliff date in the headlines again. But the most important thing to know is this. A cliff does not mean Social Security disappears. It means the math changes, unless Congress changes the law first. On June 9, 2026, the trustees released new annual reports for Social Security and Medicare. These reports do not predict your exact future check. They estimate whether the programs can pay scheduled benefits under current law based on taxes, demographics, wages, health costs, and trust fund reserves. The headline numbers are close enough to matter. The Retirement and Survivor Fund is projected to deplete reserves in the fourth quarter of 2032. The combined Social Security projection points to the third quarter of 2034. Medicare Hospital Insurance is projected for the second quarter of 2033. Depletion sounds like the vault is empty and everyone gets nothing. That is not the right picture. The trust fund reserves are one source of payment. Ongoing payroll taxes and other income are another. The cliff is about full scheduled benefits, not the total end of benefits. Social Security is often discussed as one program, but the trust funds are separate. OASI pays retirement and survivor benefits. DI pays disability benefits. The combined number is useful for the big picture, but under current law, the two funds are not simply one shared pot. The 2026 report moved the OASI retirement and survivor depletion point 1 quarter earlier than last year. The combined Social Security date stayed at 2034. The Medicare Part A trust fund also moved 1 quarter earlier, to the second quarter of 2033. In personal finance, insolvency can mean you cannot pay your bills. For Social Security, the word is more specific. It means the trust fund reserves are not enough to pay all scheduled benefits on time. It does not mean payroll taxes stop arriving. Think of it like a household with a savings account and a paycheck. If the savings account runs down, the household is not at zero income. It can still pay bills from the paycheck. But if the bills are bigger than the paycheck, something has to adjust. For the combined Social Security projection, the trustees estimate that continuing income would cover about 83% of scheduled benefits after depletion. For OASI by itself, continuing income would cover about 78%. That is painful, but it is not zero. So the practical question is not, will Social Security exist? The better question is, what happens to your retirement plan if your projected benefit is smaller than today's statement suggests? That is where panic turns into useful math. A stress test is not a prediction. It is a practice drill. You take your expected benefit and run a second version of your retirement plan with a cut. For this report, a reasonable planning range is roughly 17% to 22%, based on the combined and OASI projections. If this kind of calm money breakdown is useful, consider subscribing. The goal here is not to scare you with headlines. It is to translate big policy reports into decisions you can actually make with your own budget. Imagine your future Social Security estimate is $2,500 a month. A 17% reduction would bring it to about $2,075. That is $425 less each month. Over a year, that is $5,100 of income you would need to replace, reduce, or absorb. Now run the tougher 22% scenario. That same $2,500 estimate would become about $1,950 a month. The gap is $550 a month. This is why the date matters, even for people who are not retired yet. No one knows exactly what Congress will do. Lawmakers could raise revenue, reduce some future benefits, change claiming rules, use general revenue, or combine several approaches. A range keeps you from treating one report number as destiny. The first planning step is to separate essential spending from flexible spending. Essential spending includes housing, food, utilities, insurance, taxes, basic transportation, and medical costs. If Social Security were reduced, these are the bills that need the strongest protection. Flexible spending is where the plan can breathe. Travel, gifts, dining out, upgrades, hobbies, and second cars may matter a lot to your quality of life, but they are easier to adjust than rent, prescriptions, or groceries. That distinction is powerful. Once you know the monthly gap, ask one simple question. Could your savings, pension, part-time income, or spending cuts cover that amount without wrecking the rest of your plan? If the answer is no, you have time to make changes before the cliff date. Your planning should start with your actual Social Security estimate, not a rough online comment. Create or check your official account, review your earnings record, and look at estimates at different claiming ages. A small error in your earnings history can affect the estimate. A possible future shortfall does not automatically mean everyone should claim early. Claiming earlier usually gives you a smaller monthly benefit for life. Claiming later can increase the monthly amount. The right choice depends on health, work, savings, spouse benefits, and cash needs. If you are already receiving benefits, this report is a reason to review your budget, not a reason to make a panicked move. Ask how much of your monthly spending depends on Social Security, and whether you have a cushion for a smaller check or higher medical costs. If you are in your 40s or 50s, the dates feel uncomfortable because they are no longer far away. But that can be an advantage. You may still have working years left to increase savings, reduce debt, improve earnings, or adjust your retirement age target. Couples should stress test the household, not just each person separately. Survivor benefits can become very important after one spouse dies. If the higher earner's benefit is reduced, the surviving spouse's future income could be affected too. Medicare's Hospital Insurance Trust Fund is not the same as Social Security. It mainly relates to Medicare Part A, which helps pay for inpatient hospital care, skilled nursing facility care after hospital stays, hospice, and some home health services. Medicare Part B and Part D are financed differently from Part A. Part B covers many doctor and outpatient services. Part D helps with prescription drug coverage. Their financing adjusts through premiums and federal contributions, which creates a different kind of pressure on retirees and taxpayers. Even if Social Security benefits are the headline, health costs can be the budget breaker. Premiums, deductibles, prescriptions, dental care, vision care, and long-term care can all sit outside the simple Social Security conversation. Retirement planning needs both income and health spending assumptions. At the simplest level, Social Security depends on money coming in from workers and money going out to beneficiaries. The trustees pointed to lower projected fertility, lower immigration, and lower revenue from taxation of benefits as factors that worsened the long-term outlook this year. A trustee's report is not a crystal ball. It is a current law projection. If the economy, wages, births, immigration, inflation, life expectancy, or legislation change, future reports can change too. That is why your plan should be flexible instead of built around one exact date. The policy options are widely discussed, but none are guaranteed. Congress could change payroll taxes, taxable wage limits, benefit formulas, retirement ages, taxation rules, or transfers. Some options would affect workers, some would affect retirees, and some would affect both. Here is the clean separation. What is known is the trustee's current projection under current law. What is unknown is the political solution. A good retirement plan respects the known numbers, but does not pretend to know the final deal. A resilient retirement plan has layers. Social Security can be one layer. Personal savings and investments can be another. Work income, pensions, rental income, annuities, or other sources can add more. The fewer layers you have, the more any one shock can hurt. For many households, Social Security is the foundation. But a foundation is not the whole house. If your plan only works when Social Security pays every projected dollar forever, it is fragile. If your plan still works with a smaller benefit, it is stronger. The stress test gap can become a real savings target. If your possible gap is $425 a month, that is $5,100 a year. You can ask how much extra retirement savings, lower debt, or lower fixed expenses would be needed to cover that gap later. Reducing fixed costs can be as valuable as saving more. A smaller mortgage, paid off high-interest debt, lower car payments, or a more affordable housing plan can reduce the income you need every month. Lower required spending makes any benefit uncertainty easier to handle. Working longer is not possible for everyone, and it should not be treated as a magic answer. But for some people, even part-time work for a few extra years can help. It can add income, delay withdrawals, increase savings, and sometimes delay claiming benefits. Do not cash out investments, claim benefits early, or make major life changes only because of one scary headline. The reports are serious, but they are not a personal emergency notice. The best response is a written plan, updated assumptions, and calm decisions. The 2034 cliff is really a funding gap. The OASI fund has an earlier date in 2032. Medicare Part A has its own shortfall date in 2033. Benefits are not projected to go to zero, but a 17 to 22% stress test is reasonable planning. Now I want to hear from you. What part of Social Security planning feels most confusing right now? Claiming age, benefit cuts, Medicare costs, taxes, or how to build a backup plan? Leave your question in the comments and it may become the next explainer.